Hi everyone. Let's start today's lesson on the formation of fluvial depositional landforms. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to analyze how the erosion and deposition likely to occur on the meander. The depositional landforms includes meander, oxbow lake, levee, floodplain, and deltas. Let's see what is meander and how a meander is formed. As a river flows towards lower land, the gradient of the land gets less steep. This causes the water to move much more slowly. So there is less vertical erosion and the river begins to flow in the bends rather than a straight line. These bends are called meanders. So when you talk about the formation of meander, the flow of the water, that is the current, is faster on the outside of the bend because the river channel is deeper. That is, there is less friction to slow the water down, so it has more energy. So more erosion takes place on the outside of the bend, forming a river cliff. The current is slower on the inside of the bend because the river channel is shallow. That is, there is more friction to slow and water down, so it has less energy. So the eroded material is deposited on the inside of the bend, forming slip-off slopes. Let's see how the oxbow lakes are formed from meander. When the meanders get larger over time, they can eventually turn into an oxbow lake. Number one, erosion causes the outside bends to get closer. And number two, until there is only a small bit of the land is left between the bends. Number three, the river breaks through this land usually during a flood. And number four, and the river flows along the shortest course. Number five, deposition eventually cut off the meander. And number six, this results in the formation of an oxbow lake. Now let's have a look at the formation of floodplain. The floodplain is a wide valley flow on the either side of a river which occasionally gets flooded. When a river floods onto the floodplain, the water slows down and deposits the eroded material that is transporting. This builds up the floodplain. Meanders migrate or move across the floodplain, making it wider. The deposition that happens on the slip-off slopes of meander also builds up the floodplain. What are levees? Levees are natural embankments. During a flood, eroded material is deposited across the floodplain. The heaviest material is deposited close to the river channel and eventually builds up on the river bank and forms a natural levee. We will see what is a delta. A delta is an accumulation of sediments at the mouth of the river. It's triangular in shape. They are formed by deposition when a river enters the sea carrying a large load. The velocity falls and so the load is deposited. Next, we will see what are the favorable conditions for the formation of delta. First, the river must have a large load, and second, the size of the sediments it carries, and third, the volume of river discharge, and the fourth one, vegetation cover in delta regions that is capable of trapping the sediments. And the fifth one, the coastal geography. And the fifth one, this is the most important, the human activity is now dominant factor. And the sixth one is the tidal range conditions. And now we can see some of the examples of delta. River deltas like Amazon and the Indus River discharge into the ocean where a high tide range influence. River delta regions are highly affected by erosion effects of high waves and storms, impact the shape of delta and the shoreline. The human activity is responsible for the irregular shape of the bird food delta on the river Mississippi, created by the constant dredging to keep shipping channels clear. The construction of dams and diversion of water out of the Colorado River has essentially shut off the supply of water and sediments to the Colorado River, the delta in the Gulf of California. Have a look at the picture and answer the given question. So explain why both erosion and deposition are likely to occur on the meander, shown in the photograph. So in the given picture, there will be areas of both fast and slow flowing. So due to fast flow on the outer bend, erosion is the dominant or erosion is dominant in the outer bend due to hydraulic action and abrasion. Secondly, slow flow in the inner bend results in the deposition where the river is unable to carry the load.